Hey you guys, this is Mindy, and I just felt the need today to come on and just make this video, okay? It's a different perspective on things, and I felt the need to do it for some reason. I've been hearing a lot of people talking about what things are like for them at home with children and homeschooling and how that's going for them as parents. And I just wanted to come and share a little different perspective. I haven't talked about it much, but I just wanted, some of you won't want to watch this. It doesn't pertain to you, and that's fine. But I just wanted to give you a perspective from the teacher side of things, because I know that a lot of you are sitting at home, trying to do your best at home, and you have your struggles. I just wanted to share that it's really a struggle, for everybody in different ways. And I haven't talked about it much. I just thought I wanted to work on this painting a little bit, and I just thought I'd share a little bit about, where I'm coming from. So, this was my year to retire. It still is my year to retire. It's just all a little different, or a lot different now. It's actually physically harder to do everything I need to do to retire because I can't really go see people I need to see. I'm trying to take care of everything I need to do online and maybe by phone calls, if that, so it's put a kibosh on all of that, even just made that more difficult. But that's really not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to say that, back on May 13th was the day that we stepped out of our classrooms. And we stepped out for what we thought would be 3 weeks. We thought we were taking a 3-week, break, clean this up a little bit, and we'd go back. It was actually going to be 4 weeks for us because we had spring break after the 3 weeks. So we were actually going to get 4 weeks. All right. But nobody for 1 second thought that we wouldn't go back at all this year. That was not the plan, right? That was not what anyone expected at all. So on that day, the 13th, we scrambled around, we copied work, we gathered math books, we got logins for programs the kids had been working on in class that they could do at home, made packets, got it ready to go, okay? I did not have by any means a full class that day. I was a little bit over 50%. I think people had heard it on the news the night before and just thought that they were done, as of that moment, that they didn't need to come back to school on Friday. But we made those packets. Some people came to pick them up. Some never did. We did what we could do for what we thought was going to be this 3-week break. Okay. In the midst of that 3-week break, of course, our governor then says, change of plan. We're going to discontinue face-to-face learning for the remainder of the school year. Okay. Wow. Really? We're not going back. Wow. We're not going back in our classrooms. And we were not allowed in our classrooms at all until one day last week. So that just put a whole kibosh in the whole thing. First of all, that hit me like a ton of bricks, like, whoa, I'm never stepping into a classroom to teach again. Whoa, that threw me for a huge loop, probably more so than other people because, they're not retiring. They'll be back in the fall and I won't. It just, wow, like, as somebody in my family would say, it was an ass over apple cart kind of moment, if you know what that means, right? That's how I felt. And I still do. I still do feel that way. So yeah. So then here's what happens. The wheels don't move all that rapidly. You got to know that. I teach in a larger district. You have to wait for word to come from the top and filter all the way down, and it takes a while to get things cruising. Now, other districts in this time had kind of started some online learning. They had some systems in place. They had more technology, whatever each district did. We sent home paperwork for the kids. Other districts did other things. So basically, our governor said, at this point, any learning is just basically to keep them going. It's just something to offer them to keep them going. It can be, review work. It can be, skills that would have, come up. And actually, none of it it's not mandatory. It's not mandatory. And no child will be punished or held back or anything like that if they cannot do this work, right? Because our governor realizes that throughout our state there are many challenges. There are places that people don't have internet, people don't have devices. It needs to be equitable to everyone. And if it's not equitable, then, it's just not fair. So it came down then to our intermediate school districts, which is like, the top of the tree in our counties, that we needed to develop continuing learning types of activities. And every district could do that in the way that they saw fit for their district. All right? Everybody's going to graduate. Everybody's going to move on to the next grade. Nobody's being held back. And this work cannot be required. You cannot hold it against any family that they can't do it. There's many different scenarios in people's lives. There are people out there who are essential workers working every day. They don't have time to help their child get on a Zoom classroom. They don't have time to help their child with, paper work. So basically, come up with a plan for your district. Do the best you can. Offer help. Offer support. Offer some type of learning work. Okay? So then the fun began, where each district had to come up with their plan and what they were going to do and present it to their intermediate school district and get that approved. Okay, through the state. It has to be approved. So every school district's plan looks much different. Okay? Our plan is our 7th through 12th grade can get like a Chromebook to take home. And they can do some online learning. They have a program or a system that they're going to use to deliver instruction online. K through 6 is a whole different ball game, K through 6, it's like we are doing paper packets of work and teachers communicating, staying in touch, being available, being there to help. Okay? So when it all comes down to brass tacks, I guess, I'm required to make 2 contacts per week via emails or phone calls or some sort of platform like Zoom or Google Classroom, if you know how to use that. Or there's things like Class Dojo or something called Seesaw, which I'd never ever heard of Seesaw. Seesaw is apparently Instagram for kids, in a sense. They can post things. You can post things for them to see. It's a sharing platform, kind of like Instagram. So whatever methods you decided to use as a teacher to stay in communication with your families, that was what you were going to do. Now then, phone calls is also something, but nobody's comfortable with calling families with your personal phone. I've avoided that for 22 years. I don't call people on my personal phone. So how was I going to call people? Well, then I get Google Voice on my phone, right? Google Voice. And I have some random phone number with an area code that's like not anywhere near where we live. So there's that. But so, it came down to the point that I was going to do a a Zoom class or meeting in some sense once a week, emails to keep the families informed, and just be available for questions if they, email me. And now most of them have this Google number they could call. So we were allowed to go into our classrooms for 30 minutes one day. And the point of that was to go and get materials that you might need at home to do this job, to do this work. Well, the packets that were going to be sent home, or that could be picked up, I should say, I had not seen yet. I didn't know what was in them. I really didn't know what kinds of things I should even gather up from my room when I was there for 30 minutes, right? So I just started gathering up anything I thought might be helpful. He's smushed. I don't want him. So I just gathered up things. I gathered up student books. I gathered up, teacher, just whatever, anything I could think of that I thought I could use, and brought it home. Then today, actually, is the day that families could go pick up these packets that were made. So all week long, I've been calling families, trying to get a hold of families, trying to get them informed about the pickup. And that has been no easy feat, let me just say. No easy feat at all, trying to contact families by phone. First of all, I just told you that this is a random number from a different area of our state. The area code is not even anywhere near us. Yeah, it's just people wouldn't answer. They didn't know who it was. I mean, who's calling? Who is this, right? They don't know. So I would leave messages and things like that. I got to the point where I've reached almost everybody I was trying to call. I'm down to like 4, I think, that I have yet to contact. Yeah, we're just doing the best we can do, right? Hopefully some of them have gotten an email or heard from some other way, maybe through the website or something, that there's this pickup of information and packets of work today. My dog's trying to choke, you guys. Hey, you're all right. Shh, you're okay. Shh. Okay, go lay down. You're fine. So hopefully they will have some work. All right. It just dawned on me that I'm going to be doing the special shaped part of this, and my drill pen will not pick these up. So I'm going to pause you for just a second so I can get some tweezers and we can continue with this. I think I adjusted you a little bit better here too, so you can see. I'll blow you up just a little bit. There, bring you a little closer so you can see a little bit better. You still get a lot of glare from all that glue, but you can see a little better. So hopefully most of them, were able to go to school and pick up the packets. So going forward, we will have a Zoom classroom meeting type thing once a week. We had our first one. Now I have 23 or 24, I forget. It's been so long. 23 or 24 kids. And our first Zoom, I had 6 children in attendance. Okay, that's a little disappointing, right? It's better than none, but 6 was not what I was expecting for sure. 6 kids attended. Okay, well, that's a start. Hopefully next week we'll have more, because now I've talked to a lot of them, and I've already heard from a few that they won't be there. They just won't. They won't ever be able to come to a Zoom meeting. Parents are working. They don't have a device. They don't have the internet capabilities, whatever the reason was. And then, of course, there's those 4 that I haven't been able to contact at all. So there's one of the struggles from my end, okay? It's just the logistics of everything. Contacting people, getting a hold of people, their availability, their capabilities to do this from home, right? So there's that. Like I said, there's all these different platforms out there. Like some people had used Class Dojo. They had already used it in their classrooms. They were familiar with it. I was not. I don't know anything about Class Dojo. Apparently you can do some assignments in Class Dojo, but I'm not familiar with it. I learned how to use Zoom through Weight Watchers. That was the first place I ever heard of Zoom. Weight Watchers started conducting their meetings probably about 4 weeks ago now on Zoom. And that's where I first learned it. Now we Zoom as a staff, and I'm going to Zoom with my class, and that's going to be the platform that I use because that's one I was introduced to first. It's one I'm comfortable with, you know. And at this point, everything is just more difficult, and I just want to stick with something I know rather than trying to learn something else that's new. And that whole technology piece is not my strong suit to begin with. So I'm going to stick with what I know, and that's Zoom. And hopefully we'll be able to have a meeting every week, and more kids will be able to attend in the future. And I have now seen the packet of work. Okay, I've seen the packet of work. So my first thing was I was disappointed when I saw the packet of work. For the reading part, it's covering things that we've already done, stories we've already read. It went back much further than, we were at the time. And we've already done those stories. We've already done the skills that go with those. So I get reviews good. I get that. Okay, so I had to just move on from that, okay, this is going to be review. We've done this, it's review. See why I say this is not required? It's not, you can't, right. Okay, so next thing is I get the packet virtually. Okay, I get it in an email. Now, do I print it all out? Do I have it to show in Zoom? Do I figure out how to show it electronically in a Zoom class? Because I know that my principal has shown us things in our meetings on the screen that she has, electronically. Do I figure out how to do that? That's another question, right? So you see, right now there's more questions than there are answers at this point, and things are more difficult than they are easy, right? I'm going to refer to Mrs. Coffee for a moment because I know a lot of you watch Mrs. Coffee, and one of her latest Whip and Chats was about the kids and their homeschooling. And I found myself sitting here watching, and I was talking. I was like responding and saying things and putting in my 2 cents about it all, right? When she said that she recently learned that their work is supplemental. She says, what do you mean it's supplemental? You mean I've been sitting here busting my butt every day trying to get these kids to get all this work done and all these assignments when this is enrichment? Yep, it's enrichment. At this point, it's enrichment, it's review, it's practice, it's just designed to keep kids' skills at least where they were. If not moving forward, at least staying where they were. That's why ours appears to be, at least what I've seen so far, is a lot of review work. Okay? Because none of this, no child will be harmed in their educational progress due to this, right? That's basically what we've been told. They will move on, and they will move from wherever they're at when school resumes back to normalcy. Okay? So yeah, enrichment, supplemental, just something to keep them going, keep their skills up a little bit. Now, we can't require it. We can't grade. We're not doing any grading for the rest of the year because, I mean, we don't really have the access to really assess. We can't assess what's happening at home. You could show me a paper. You could have the kids send me a paper, but that doesn't guarantee that they know what they're doing. Sometimes it doesn't even guarantee that they did the paper, that they did the work. You know, it's out of my control at home. Like, I can just tell you that in the past, I have, I've spoke with a parent before about, your child is not reading on grade level. Well, they read just fine at home. They'll sit down and they can read this whole story to me and it's just fine. They know all the words. Okay, maybe, but what are they reading? That's my question. That's always my question. Are they reading the content at the expectation? Or were they reading you a story that was much easier than what they should be reading at this point? You just don't know, Homework. I mean, anytime I would send homework home, you never know. Did the child actually do that homework? How much of it did they do? Did they understand it? How hard was it? You just don't know. So when it's out of our sight, it's, we can't assess that. We can't do any testing. We can't do any reading tests. I can't, none of that is possible at this point. It's very difficult. Very, very difficult. All right. Even teaching is difficult because, how do I teach them? How do I teach them money, which is one of the topics we should be doing? How do I teach them money at this point? Can I get out a handful of coins and lay them out somewhere and have the kids pick them up and count them and manipulate them? And no, I can't. That's not possible to do virtually. Some things are definitely a hands-on kind of situation, right? So it's frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody. It's hard for everybody. At this point, it is offer. Be there to support. Be there to answer questions and hope that the families are taking advantage of the resources that they've been given to try to do some things at home, And I know right now a lot of people, I don't know about a lot. I know that some people won't or can't or don't have the time to, or whatever their situation is. We just know that that's the way it's going to be for some people. Yeah. So it's all frustrating, right? It's frustrating for me as a teacher from my end, trying to deal with what I need to deal with. I know it's frustrating for parents on their end. I know I had one parent tell me that, Zoom wasn't going to happen and picking up the packet was going to be difficult because they worked, and wishing that people were more, that this whole thing was more understanding of essential workers that are working. Well, we understand. It's not that we don't understand that people are working, but there's only so much we can do on our end, and trying to limit, exposure and contact. That's why there's one day to come pick up your packet. Now, my principal would be willing to, maybe show up one night after the hours to just, be there for a few people, but it's difficult for everyone, and we're all trying to do the best that we can. All right. Now, let me tell you a couple of funny things, and I'll refer back to Mrs. Coffee again, and I was just dying when she was telling this story about the little boy who was playing with his toy, and Mom got all up in his face and smacked him and was cussing and whatnot in the Zoom class with the other kids, right? Well, first thing I would have done is mute that kid and parent, because you can do that from from my end. You can mute everybody. And I got to tell you, I kind of like that feature. It kind of brings teaching to the way that I wish it always was, where one person talks and everybody can listen, and yeah, I'm kind of liking that aspect. So you can mute them. And I'll tell you a story about muting in just a minute. But I would die. I mean, I would die if somebody gets on and starts doing that in my Zoom class, right? I would probably be like, oh man, I don't know if I can get them out of the class, like if you could like delete them from the class and just, make it go away. But I bet you can. That could not happen. I would die. Okay, just die. So let me tell you about a friend of mine. A friend of mine that, we've been friends since we both started teaching in the district. She's my best friend. And she had her first Zoom class. And we all kind of agreed that our first Zoom class would just be like, hi, let everybody say hi and how are you and see faces and, all of that, right? So, she's talking with the kids in her class, and one of the little girls, asking them what they've been doing and whatnot. She says, I got a new bike. Hang on, I got a bike. The little girl goes to another part of the house, gets the bike, and is riding the bike around in front of the camera in the Zoom class to show everybody her bike. Wow. That's certainly nothing that kids could ever do in the past, right? You could talk about your bike at school, but you're not going to be able to get on it and ride it around and show everybody at school. Cracked me up. All right. I can see it now. Little kid going, hang on, running off and grabbing their bike and riding it around in your Zoom class. How funny, right? Oh boy. So in my first Zoom class with my 6 kids that were able to get in, I had one. I don't know what was going on. I don't know what she was doing. But she was all over the place, just all over the place. The camera was this way, that way, upside down, looking at the ceiling. She's making all kinds of noise. She's walking all over the house. And I'm like, what is going on, right? What is going on? And the other kids were just like, where is she at? Why is she? They were confused just like me. What is she doing? Well, I couldn't stop her from doing all of the moving around, but I could mute her. I think she was muted more than she was not muted, and I don't even think she realized it. I just, you want to wander around and have your camera sideways and upside down and showing us the ceiling and whatnot, you go for it, but you're muted. We're not going to be able to hear it. So, like I said, that's one of the good features about this, the mute button. Yeah, I can mute people. So, yeah, that was the first one. And the other kids, it was really funny, as chatty as they are at school. They talk all the time at school, right? Can't hardly get them to be quiet at school. I was shocked how quiet they were in our Zoom class. Super quiet. And then even when they would try to talk, they were talking so quietly that it was hard to hear them. 076. Orange and red. Orange and red. Orange and red. I don't see the orange and red, guys. Where are these supposed to go? Oh, they go in there. Okay. So yeah, super quiet, quieter than I've ever heard them in class, ever, right? So this will be interesting to see, how this pans out in future classes, how much we get, out of kids, what do we get out of them? Because my plan is in the future, like next week, they'll have their packet of work, right? And hopefully they'll bring their packet of work to their Zoom class. I'm going to put that in the email. Bring your work to Zoom for week 1. and we'll go over it, just kind of like we would in class, except we're going to be doing like the whole week. There's 5 different math assignments. There's a few things for reading. Some of the other stuff is like fun things, like they threw some art in there, like directed drawing, how to teach kids how to draw something step by step. That's kind of cool. We've done that in class. And then there's a few other things, like a little bit of social studies, a little bit of plants. I'm not going to go over those because those are pretty. If families are going to engage in learning about plants, they're going to read the, information and they'll do it. It's not something that I need to give instruction on. So we'll try to go over the little packet and, then ask if there's any questions what they're supposed to do. And this first packet, I'm going to say they won't have any questions because, like I said, we've already done it. We've already done those lessons. So it really should be review for them. Now, is it what I would have put together? No, not at all. Because I know what my class has done, but they did this district-wide. So all second graders across the district get the same thing. All third graders get the same thing. So because they only had a short time to put this together, a few teachers and a few principals were the ones that got in there and, created the packets. That's how it goes. So anyhow, we'll see how this goes moving forward. And we've got 6 weeks. 6 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. What can we get done in 6 weeks? We'll do our best. That's all we can do is do our best. So there you have it. Just thought I'd give you my perspective and what I am dealing with on my end. I read a lot of emails. I respond to a lot of emails. I put a lot of stuff in our system. I log things. I make phone calls. And that's just the parent end. That's not even the teaching end. That's not teaching the children, That's just the contact part. So, 6 weeks, yeah. And then in that 6 week time frame, I also need to figure out all of my retirement stuff, get that all filed and get that all taken care of and stop freaking out about it. Stop freaking out about my future, with all this happening, I knew I wanted to get a job when I retired, and now here I sit what job am I going to get? Everybody's been laid off from their jobs. There aren't jobs out there to get right now. So I'm not the person who's going to be going and getting a job for a while, right? So, yeah. Anyhow, it is what it is. And my husband still works, and, I'll just have to rest assured everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. And, yeah, life will go on. So that's all I really have to say. And just wanted to share that with you. If you listened, awesome. If you didn't, if it was nothing of interest to you, that's great too. But, yeah, just thought I'd give you a teacher perspective on things and get some things off my chest. And, yeah, so there you go. I'm going to go now. I'm going to finish up that little mandala. It's super cute. And then I have a video to make involving that and another painting. So take care. Do the best you can. Allow yourselves grace. We all need to have grace right now. We need to be allowed to make mistakes, to not know the answers, to not do things perfectly. Yeah. Allow yourself grace. Take care of everybody. Take care of each other. And do the best that we can do at this time. So until next time, take care. And I will talk with you soon. Bye-bye.